Welcome to Brain Fuel TV. Today we're testing your knowledge of the Gospel of Matthew with 45 true or false questions across 3 levels of difficulty. This quiz will challenge your understanding of Jesus' life, teachings, and ministry as recorded by Matthew. Grab a pen and paper to keep track of your score. Can you get all 45 questions right? Pause the video if you need more time to answer. If you enjoy this quiz, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your score, and don't forget to subscribe for more Bible quizzes and Christian content. Let's begin with Level 1. True or false? Jesus was born in Nazareth of Galilee. False. Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. True or false? The Beatitudes begin with the words, "Blessed are the rich in spirit." False. The Beatitudes actually begin with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." True or false? Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus, was a fisherman by trade. False. Joseph was a carpenter, and Jesus was often referred to as the carpenter's son. True or false? Jesus appointed 12 disciples. False. Jesus had many disciples. He specifically chose 12 from among them to be his apostles. True or false? Jesus taught that we should love our neighbor and hate our enemy. False. Jesus challenged this thinking, teaching us to love our enemies and pray for persecutors. True or false? Joseph planned to put Mary away secretly when he found that she was with child. True. Being a just man, Joseph wanted to break the engagement quietly to avoid shaming Mary publicly. True or false? The Pharisees accepted Jesus as the Messiah. False. The Pharisees were often Jesus' harshest critics and frequently plotted against him. True or false? The Gospel according to Matthew is the first book of the New Testament. True. Matthew's account of the life of Christ is the opening book of the New Testament. True or false? Peter cut off the ear of the high priest's servant when Jesus was arrested. True. During the arrest, one of those with Jesus drew his sword and struck the servant. True or false? When Jesus died, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. True. This miraculous event occurred at the exact moment Jesus yielded up his spirit. True or false? Jesus' first disciples were fishermen by occupation. True. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were all working as fishermen when Jesus called them. True or false? Jesus said no one can serve both God and mammon. True. Jesus taught that it is impossible to be devoted to both God and worldly riches. True or false? The Sermon on the Mount is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. True. This famous sermon, which includes the Beatitudes, is found in chapters 5 through 7. True or false? Jesus instituted the Lord's Supper during the Passover meal. True. While they were eating the Passover, Jesus took bread and the cup to establish the new covenant. True or false? Darkness came over all the land for 3 hours during the crucifixion. True. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness covered the land while Jesus was on the cross. And that's the end of level 1. How are you doing so far? Hopefully you've got a great score. Now we're moving on to level 2, the intermediate round. These questions will be a bit more specific and will test how closely you've read the parables and teachings. Let's continue. True or false? Jesus entered Jerusalem riding on a white horse. False. Jesus entered Jerusalem humbly riding on a donkey, fulfilling the prophecy of Zechariah. True or false? Jesus was born in the days of Herod Antipas. False. Jesus was born during the reign of Herod the Great. Herod Antipas was his son who ruled later. True or false? John the Baptist called the Pharisees a brood of vipers. True. John used this language to rebuke the Pharisees and Sadducees who came to his baptism. True or false? After returning from Egypt, Joseph brought Mary and Jesus to live in Jerusalem. False. Being afraid of Archelaus, Joseph was warned in a dream to move the family to Nazareth in Galilee. True or false? Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall see God." False. Jesus said the meek shall inherit the earth. Those who are pure in heart shall see God. True or false? Jesus was fishing when the storm arose on the sea. False. Jesus was actually asleep in the boat when the great tempest arose on the sea. True or false? According to Matthew's Gospel, shepherds were the first to visit the newborn Jesus. False. The visit of the shepherds is found in Luke. Matthew's account focuses on the wise men. True or false? King Herod rejoiced when he heard of the birth of Jesus. False. Herod was deeply troubled when he heard of a new king of the Jews and felt his power was threatened. True or false? Jesus compared himself to the prophet Jonah as a sign of his death and resurrection. Just as Jonah was 3 days in the fish, Jesus said he would be 3 days in the heart of the earth. True or false? Jesus walked on the Jordan River. False. The miracle of Jesus walking on the water took place on the Sea of Galilee. True or false? Jesus taught that when you do a charitable deed, your left hand should not know what your right hand is doing. True. Jesus taught that our giving should be done in secret. True or false? Jesus was crucified on the Mount of Olives. False. Jesus was led away to a place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull. True or false? Herod the Great believed Jesus was John the Baptist risen from the dead. False. It was specifically Herod Antipas, the tetrarch, who believed this. True or false? Jesus paid the temple tax with a coin taken from the mouth of a fish. True. Jesus told Peter to cast a hook, and the first fish he caught had the exact coin needed. True or false? Jesus taught that anger toward a brother without cause brings judgment. True. Jesus taught that internal anger is a serious matter that subjects one to judgment. All right, that was level 2. The difficulty definitely stepped up a notch. How is your score looking? It's time for the final round, level 3. These 15 questions are for the true experts on the book of Matthew. They cover specific details, names, and theological points. This is the final push. Let's do this. True or false? The wise men returned to Herod after they had seen the young child. False. They were warned by God in a dream not to return to Herod, so they departed another way. True or false? In the second temptation, the devil took Jesus up on an exceedingly high mountain. False. In Matthew, the second temptation was at the temple. The mountain was the third temptation. True or false? Jesus said the gate is narrow and the way is difficult that leads to life. True. Jesus contrasted the narrow way of life with the broad way that leads to destruction. True or false? Jesus said that every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. True. Jesus used this logic to show that he did not cast out demons by the power of Satan. True or false? In the parable of the sower, the seed that fell among thorns grew and was withered. False. The seed among thorns was choked by the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches. True or false? Jesus taught the golden rule: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. False. The golden rule is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. True or false? When Jesus calmed the storm, He rebuked the disciples for having no faith. False. Jesus rebuked them for having little faith, not no faith. True or false? Jesus healed the mother-in-law of the apostle Andrew. False. Matthew records that Jesus went into Peter's house and healed Peter's mother-in-law. True or false? Jesus fed 4,000 men with 5 loaves and 2 fish. False. 5 loaves and 2 fish fed the 5,000. The 4,000 had 7 loaves. True or false? In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus' final words on the cross were, "It is finished." False. Matthew records his final words as, my God, why have you forsaken me?" True or false? The guards who saw the angel roll back the stone later reported everything to Pilate. False. The guards actually went into the city and reported the events to the chief priests. True or false? In the parable of the tares, the field represents the world. True. Jesus explained that the field is the world, where both good and bad seed grow together. True or false? Jesus began his public ministry in Jerusalem. False. After John was put in prison, Jesus departed to Galilee and began his ministry in Capernaum. True or false? Jesus taught that we should forgive others only 7 times. False. When Peter asked about 7 times, Jesus told him up to 70 times 7. True or false? Moses and Elisha appeared with Jesus at the Transfiguration. False. It was Moses and the prophet Elijah who appeared and spoke with Jesus. And that's all 45 questions. We are done. How did you do? Count up your score and let us know in the comments below. What was your total out of 45? And tell us, which question was the hardest one for you? We had a great time digging into the book of Matthew with you today. If you enjoyed this quiz, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to Brain Fuel TV and hit that notification bell so you never miss a quiz. Thanks for playing along. Stay curious, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.